In this video, we will show you how to replace your AC condenser on this Ford Fusion with a 3.0 liter engine. This will be located along the front of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing that you will have to do is evacuate the AC system. The system does have pressurized refrigerant inside, and you need to have it evacuated by a trained professional. Let's safely make our way underneath the driver's side front of the vehicle. Now underneath the front of the vehicle, we're going to continue on with removing this plate that makes its way all the way across. You'll find it's held in place with several 7mm headed mounting bolts, and it will also have a few push clips that make their way across as well. Let's start with the 7mm mounting bolts. With all those broken free, we'll continue on to those push clips. For the push clips, you'd want to use a trim tool or small prying device. Start pulling out the center. That'll unlock the push clips, and then you should be able to remove the outer portion. Just go ahead and give that a quick inspection and set it aside. If the two pieces came apart, you can slide them together. Just leave it in the unlocked position. Make sure you're holding onto the plate as you remove the final one. Slide the plate out of place and set it aside. Now that we have the shield out of the way, let's continue on with a trim tool or prying device. We're looking along this area. You can see that we have our transmission cooler lines, and those go below the fan assembly. Use your prying device and make your way in between this area, gently separating it, being careful not to damage anything. Make our way over here. Sometimes the lines just pop out of the brackets, but either way, the brackets do need to be transferred over to the brand new fan assembly. Let's continue on to dislodging this area. You're going to find that you have a metal bracket that holds onto the fan shroud assembly. Go ahead and pry this out of the way. We're being careful not to damage our rubber hose. You can use a prying device, an angled pick, whatever you might happen to have. Just try to make your way underneath these ears and gently separate them. Let's make our way looking up inside this area. We're looking for the fan control module. This has an electrical connector along the bottom. To unlock it, go ahead and squeeze on both sides. Give it a little wiggle and pull it down and out of place. Give each end a quick inspection for corrosion and set the wiring harness aside. Next, you can move directly above it to the next wiring harness. For this one, it does have a lock in the center. Squeeze that in, we'll give this a little wiggle. Quick inspection, set the wiring aside. Now that we have this separated, we can make our way back up top. We're looking for the wiring harness that comes all the way across the front. Starting over on the driver's side, let's continue with this electrical connector. Use a small pick or small screwdriver to dislodge the little lock. A quick inspection. Now we'll continue on with a trim tool or a small prying device. There will be several areas that we will have to pry out of place. We'll get the last one down over here. It's right about this area. I'm just going to switch up my pry bar a little longer here. There we are. Now let's make our way down inside this area. We're looking for the fan control module. We've already disconnected the electrical connector, but along the top of it, there's a T25 Torx screw that we will have to remove. The screw out of here. There's my bolt. This module out of here. When you do this, typically you just tip it, and then you can slide it up and out. We'll just give this a quick inspection and set it aside. Now just above that area, we have an electrical connector that we will have to dislodge from the fan assembly. Go ahead and pry that out of place. Ours is pretty much broken. Let's use a pry bar, make my way in between. At this point, we can start dislodging the fan assembly. Along each side, you will find that you have a locking tab. The one that's over on the driver's side is easier to see. You can go ahead and depress on that tab, and once you've done so, you should be able to start lifting up on the fan assembly. Now that I have this side broken free, I'm going to continue on and do the same thing over on the passenger side. At this point, we can start lifting it up. You may find that it binds up on some hoses or cables. Just be careful not to damage anything along the way. There it is, friend. Let's set this aside. With that fan assembly out of the way, we can continue on down along this area. It's a little hard to see, but you can see where there are AC lines that lead into the AC condenser. Those lines are held in place with a 13mm mounting nut. Go ahead and remove each of the nuts and each of the lines. Do not remove either of these lines unless you've had your refrigerant professionally evacuated. May hear a little bit of vacuum in this area. We'll inspect that mounting hardware, set it aside. Now we can take hold of the line and pull it out of place. Just give that line a quick inspection. You do want to make sure that it's reusable and it's not damaged in any way. We can set that line aside for now. Continue on to your next line, which is located just below the first. Same process, remove the nut, remove the line, give everything a quick inspection. Quick inspection, set that aside. Next to the washer fluid fill, we're just going to make our way and dislodge this hose from the AC line. Now there is a push clip all the way down in this area that holds the AC condenser to the radiator. To more easily gain access to it, we're going to continue on to removing two clips that hold the radiator in place so we can gain access to our AC condenser along the forward side of the radiator. Now if you were to look along the front of this area, you're going to find that you have two small ears that you could use a small prying device and gently pry up. While I'm holding up in there, I'm going to make my way along the back side here. Along the top of the radiator, along each corner, you should find that you have a locking clip. While prying up along the forward side, you can slide the rearward side out. Once you have plenty of movement from one side, do the exact same thing on the other side of the vehicle. With both of those sides broken free, you should be able to slide the radiator rearward. Being extremely careful not to cause any damage to the radiator, we'll remove the two upper clips. A quick inspection and you can set each of those aside. Let's put a collection bucket under the area. Continue on up inside this area. We're going to dislodge the two power steering lines. There's one along each corner, one over on the passenger side, one over on the driver's side. The process is the same for either. Go ahead and squeeze the clamp, slide it down the hose a little bit, remove the hose and give it a quick inspection. If you found that you were having an issue holding the radiator back, you could wedge something in between here. Just be extremely careful not to damage the radiator or anything else the like. To dislodge this, I'll just use some hose clamp pliers. You can use regular pliers if you can make your way in there. Now that I have the clamp off of there, let's go ahead and press this hose out of the way as well, trying not to damage this. Power steering fluid will come out of this upper hose. Make sure you have your collection bucket underneath each side. There we are. Before you remove the other side, make sure you have your collection bucket under here. Slide that off of there. Now let's make our way down in between the radiator and the AC condenser. I'm going to use a pry bar and carefully try to separate this. There should be two little locking ears along each side of this radiator that you can squeeze together and pop this out of place. Here's what that looks like out on the bench so you can have a clear view. Ours aren't squeezing together, so I'm just going to carefully pry it out. Let's make our way right in here. There's one side. Do the same on the other side. Dislodge this hose from the radiator. Now we can dislodge our 8mm headed bolt that holds our washer fluid filler neck in place. We should also dislodge this AC line bracket. Now there is one push clip that holds the AC condenser to the radiator. If you were to look just below where those AC lines go, you're going to find that you have a small black push clip that you could carefully pull the center out of to unlock and then remove the outer portion. Continue on by separating the AC condenser from the radiator. It's a quick view of our push clip, pulled out the center to unlock it. At this point, you can take hold of the radiator, push it rearward towards the engine, take hold of the AC condenser and lift it straight up and out of here, being extremely careful not to damage your radiator cooling fins. As you start lifting up on the AC condenser, you will find that along the passenger side top of the condenser, you had those two studs where your AC lines went into. We need to remove the lower mounting stud here, so we'll be able to slide this up and out of place. To remove it, you want to use an E7 inverted Torx head socket. Grab onto this AC condenser, maneuver it around, and lift it up and out of place. There it is, friend. Now that we have the AC condenser out of the way, let's clean and inspect the mounting points on the radiator. Once you've cleaned the top, make your way down to the bottom. You should find a hooked area. That is where the AC condenser will fall down into. That's what holds it, and it locks in along the top. Make sure you clean and inspect all 4 of these areas. Let's have a look at our original AC condenser. We're going to remove the other mounting stud. At this point, we'll clean and inspect both of our AC line mounting studs and set those aside. Okay, friend, let's get ready to install our brand new AC condenser. Looking along the bottom of the AC condenser, you're going to find these areas that protrude out towards each side. Those will fit into the corresponding hooks that are located along the bottom of the radiator. Once you've done so, you're going to continue on by pressing the upper area into the upper areas on the radiator that will lock this into position. Carefully slide this into place, being careful for all of the cooling fins on the AC condenser and on the radiator. This is very important to be careful. You may find that you have a little bit of a difficult time along where the lines go past the radiator. Just carefully maneuver everything around as needed. Now that we have this slid down here, it's time to start paying special attention to each one of our 4 mounting points. We have the 2 hooks along the bottom, and then we also have those locking clips up along the top. We'll carefully slide the AC condenser down into the hooks and then press it into the locks. Hardest part's just getting everything aligned. There we are. There we are. Now that we have that slid down, let's carefully pull this forward into the locked position along each side. With the AC condenser completely locked in up against the radiator, we'll continue on to our 2 power steering cooler lines, which attach to the top of the AC condenser. Go ahead and slide those lines into place, bottom them out, and then lock them in position with their locking clamp. Double check to make sure it's completely secure. Do the same thing on the other side of the AC condenser. Now the next thing we'll have to do is pay attention to each one of our AC lines. On those lines, you're going to find that you should have some sort of gasket. Go ahead and carefully remove the gasket from the line, give it a quick inspection and compare it to a brand new one. Use a clean rag, clean and inspect the line itself, and then continue on with a brand new AC line gasket. Lubricate that seal with a little bit of clean PAG oil, which is the oil that you will need to use for your refrigerant system. Now once you've done one line, do the exact same thing to your other AC line. This one's a little larger. And just coat that brand new seal. Slide that gasket on there. Nice. Now along the top passenger side of the AC condenser, we're going to continue on to removing our 2 protective plugs. We'll use a 13mm for each one of the mounting bolts. You might hear a little bit of vacuum pressure in this area. That's common. Don't worry about it. There's one. Do the exact same thing to the other port. Once you have both of those out of there, we'll continue on with each of our 2 studs. Let's snug them up. The next thing we'll do is take the line, slide it into place. Start on the mounting nut, snug it up, and torque it to 11 foot-pounds. That converts to 133 inch-pounds. Do the same to the other line. Continue on with your plastic push pin, which holds the AC condenser to the radiator along the passenger side. Just make our way right down through here. You can also reach down along where the fan would be. That in there. Lock it in by pressing in the center. Double check to make sure both areas are secured together. Secure this clamp along here. Make our way up in this area. Make your way up along here. We're going to continue on by securing our AC line and the washer fluid fill tube. Flex everything as needed. Now it's time to resecure the top of the radiator. We have our locking clips. We'll be taking each of these clips, slide them onto the top locating tab on the radiator. Once you've done so, we'll be taking that clip, bringing it down and through this area. It's pretty much impossible to see, but it'll come behind and then make its way out and lock in the 2 ears along the bottom side there. A little locking clip on here. Now, before you go ahead and press this one all the way in, it's important to make sure you start the other one on as well. If you find that you're having a hard time pulling this through, you could carefully try to pry this forward, pressing each one of the locking clips through. Since I'm pressing up against plastic, I'll be using some wood. I'll use my pry bar and come directly up against the valve cover. I don't want to cause any damage. We do need to apply enough pressure that this does lock into position. I can see both of those ears protruding through. We'll just go ahead and try to press them back on through rearward, just to make sure that they are actually locked in position. Do the same on the other side of the vehicle. For this side, I'll be using the tray down along the bottom there. Let's try to press these through. Okay, let's prepare to install our fan assembly. Carefully take this and put it in position in the engine compartment, being extremely careful for the cooling fins on your radiator. We'll slowly work this back and forth as necessary, being extremely careful for any wiring as we continue. Carefully start working this in here. Just work it a little bit back and forth. Now, as we bring it down, on the radiator itself, it does have 4 hooks. There's 2 along each side that pretty much face up like this. We're going to be dropping the fan down along that area, sliding it into the clips along the bottom. As we come along the top, it does have those little locks. So once we press it down, we'll just confirm that it is properly locked in. Now we can continue on with our cable. You can see some of the mounting points up across the top. There is the one that's down in this area. We'll just carefully press that down into position. Make our way up along the top here. Got our wiring harness. Now we'll insert our control module. When we do so, we're going to take the bottom, slide it into place on the fan. After that, we'll continue on with our T25 Torx screw. When bringing this down, we'll make sure we have it in the proper positioning with the wiring harness area facing down. Once that mounting bolt is bottomed out, confirm that it's completely secured against the shroud. Now we can reconnect in our electrical connectors. We'll be doing the top one from up top here. We can do the bottom one once we're back down along the bottom of the vehicle. We'll just take this and press it into place. Typically it will be held up against the fan assembly itself. Just go ahead and line up those two connector pieces and press them in. Press it in, listen for a click. Once you have that connected, the next thing you're going to want to do is secure that wiring harness. Down along inside this area, there should be a small clip that you can slide that into. Ours is broken and missing. Go ahead and attach that with a wire tie. Now from underneath the vehicle, we're going to reconnect our fan module. We'll make our way down along the bottom, take that connector and slide it up into place. Press it in, listen for a click from both sides. We'll give it a light tug to make sure that's completely secure. Let's start resecuring the lower radiator hose to the bottom of the fan assembly. We'll just carefully take this and put it in place, slide it onto the fan. The next thing we'll do is continue on to resecuring the lines. The lines should have some plastic clips, which you would have the lines in, and then slide the plastic clips up into the fan assembly. Get that in there. There we are. Let's continue on to the lower panel. Slide this into place. Once you feel as though you have it in place, you can continue on with your 4 push clips. Okay friend, we finished installing our AC condenser. At this point, you want to make sure that you have a professional recharge the AC system with the manufacturer's proper AC refrigerant. Once you've done so, go ahead and take your vehicle for a road test and make sure that the AC functions as it should. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.